Hey everybody, welcome back. We're doing another Marvel Future Revolution video. On this one, we're going to do a real quick follow-up to the Nano video that we had yesterday. I don't know. It's been a blurry week and moving. Got a lot of stuff going on. So trying to get some videos out while doing that at the same time. Challenging nonetheless, but that's for me and my wife to be yelling at me about. So anyway, I was asked specifically some questions about, well, what stats? That sort of thing. So I was like, you know what? I should put something out there that's maybe a little bit more focused on that. So I'm going to go do that. We're going to walk through some of the things I've done. One, like what stats you should sort of be looking at. Two, some of the things that I've done and while I made those decisions, you know, some of that was in the video the other day, but I'm going to show you some of my other gear where maybe I didn't and why. So most importantly, I hope that you take away from this. These are the stats you need to focus and try to get rolls on before you nano, at least for now. And I'll explain that in the video as well, because I believe this is going to change. So, and I'll go through that. So anyway, if you're new to the channel, check out the Discord link in the description below. Hammer down like buttons, click notification bell, subscribe, all that sort of thing. And let's dive into this.
Bring me WolverThor!
So before we dive into it, just so you can kind of see, this is the simplest way to look at stuff. I'll zoom in on this a little bit so you can see it a bit better. So each piece of gear can get something different. Again, shout out to my guy Neuromancer, put together this mega sheet a long time ago. The head can roll these stats, the chest can roll these stats, the arms can roll this stats, and the feet can roll these stats. So so the biggest thing right now is one, depending how you play as a person, and two, depending on the character that you play, some of this could slightly change or alter. But there is some sort of overarching concepts that you do want to do when you're getting these. The things that I'll mention first off is, in my mind, the first piece that you want to get narrowed in is your head. The second is your chest. The third is your feet. And the fourth is your arms. I would go in that order as far as nanoing goes, because I think that's the proper progression for deciding to nano. So again, head, chest, feet, arms. The reason is because as you get those front end ones dialed in, you can shift and adjust a lot of other things in game. As you look at these, like just looking at these gear pieces, so like head, you know, it's got defense pierce. Is there defense pierce anywhere else? No, there's not. Chest, it's got accuracy. Is there accuracy anywhere else? No, there's not. Now, you can say the same thing for arms and feet, where cooldown decrease for the feet. Is that anywhere else? No. Arms, crit damage decrease. Is that anywhere else? No, it's not. But the way the game's kind of evolved is that defense pierce and accuracy are some of the front end stats that you really want to kind of hone in on. Additionally, both your head's got attack, crit damage, and crit rate. Your chest has the same three stats. So those three stats are also really important, good stats for PvP, for anything where you're fighting against, you know, I'd say, well, it gets your power up quicker, even though that's not necessarily the biggest thing, but it helps you do more damage sooner versus like HP recovery. That's a trash stat, by the way, but stamina recovery, it matters. All gauge recovery, it matters, but these sort of stats are the ones, the ones on your head and chest are the ones that you really want to focus in on first. So having said that, what the general rule of thumb is, at least for the head, is you want to get at least 2 defense pierce stacks on it. Okay. You want to try to get that so that it's easier for you to get to your defense pierce cap, which is 75%. The same can be said for the chest piece and accuracy. Those are sort of the overarching rolls that you want to get for those pieces. There's a lot of people are like, I can't roll the right defense pierce on my head. I can't get the 2 accuracy rate rolls on my chest. If you get 3 accuracy rates, holy cow. Now, I will say that with accuracy rates, I'm not convinced that you want 3. That might be trying to just get to a threshold that might not matter that much, because Really, once you get to the 170%, or maybe it's even 160%, but between 160 170, that's sort of like I'm making sure that I hit the Spider-Man range. And I've talked to some people who have some high-end accuracy, and Spider-Man still dodges on them. So it's kind of like, just get accuracy to where you need it at a decent level. I'm still, for now, going to say that accuracy rate, 2 rolls on that on your chest is something that you want. Now, having said that, that's not the only thing that matters. Same thing with the head. If you get 2 defense pierce and 3 debuff accuracy, I'm not going to nano that. So for me, there's some intricacies here where I get 2 defense pierce. Now, I would have liked, maybe some additional crit damage. Some crit rate matters as well. And this is the thing with this. I mentioned in the last video is like, you can get to a certain threshold, but unless you have something else with it, it's whatever stat you might be looking at, maybe crit damage. It doesn't matter if your crit rate isn't high enough. Now, you can get crit damage and crit rate from cards and a lot of other places. Same with attack. Same with defense pierce, frankly. So, you got to sort of gauge that a little bit. And at some point, and we're going to go look at my gear here in a little bit. I will say that I think I re-rolled my head. 1, I brought up a bunch of the heads. 2, I re-rolled my, I think it was actually my chest. I think I used 5, 6 red stars re-rolling it. And I'm like, and I'm not a, spend a bunch of money to re-roll stuff player. I was just I was like, it was the last part I needed to get done to nano. And I'm like, I'm just going to re-roll this. I'll get something I want. And I never did. The best stat I ended up rolling on, I got 4 crit damage and 1 other stat on it. I forget what it was. We'll look at it in a minute. And I'm actually going to keep that piece for potentially something in the future. I don't know. Maybe the way the game changes at some point, I need to get my crit damage higher. I don't know. So the way that you need to look at this is get at least for now, and this is going to change, like I mentioned, get a piece, whether it's a head or chest or whatever, to 5 stars, and then when you roll it into 6, well, let me say that. Let me actually walk that back a second. Is build a piece up 1 star, 2 star, 3 star. And if it keeps rolling the stats that you want, then bring it up higher. If it doesn't, just stop and go to a new piece. Okay. So if you get your head and you get, 1 accuracy, and then you get 1 crit damage, then you get 1 crit rate, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna roll it one more time. And then it's debuff accuracy. It's like, oh my gosh. Or you get 2 debuff accuracy at 3 or 4 stars. It's like, all right, move that, put it into storage. Start bringing it up another piece. That one that you moved into storage will eventually come back around to be built up to 6 star as nano fodder for whatever piece you get to 6 star. So be smart about that as far as which piece that you actually bring up higher. I got plenty of them to 5, 6 stars that ended up falling off, and then now I'm just building them up for fodder to feed into the ones that I got that I feel good about. So, like I mentioned, those are the stats you want to look at. Just to mention arms and feet, and I actually haven't looked at this in a lot of detail, but you clearly like these 2, stamina recovery and alt gauge for feet. As a widow, I love a lot of alt gauge recovery. Cooldown decrease isn't bad either, but I mean, I think for some people like a Doctor Strange, you're going to want more cooldown decrease. For the arms, I mean, dodge, all of these aren't bad, frankly. A focus... with people doing a lot of accuracy, dodge might not matter as much. Guard damage decrease is probably the one I like the least. Debuff, well, maybe debuff resistance, but again, it's not bad. So, crit damage decrease, I'm guessing that between that and defense are probably, see, that's the thing, is I look at this and I'm like, those are the crit damage decrease is probably the one I want the most. And then defense, dodge are probably the other ones. But, if you get defense pierce, defense doesn't matter. So that's where I'm kind of like, I want dodge. I want crit damage decrease. I want guard damage decrease there. So don't stress too much about where the arms are. Those will shake out, sort of where you need to. So that's generally what you're looking at stat-wise. I'm going to go show you what I've got in game and sort of how I kind of came to those conclusions. Okay, so this is my head. You can see that what I ended up getting here, I mentioned already, is I got the 2 defense pierce, I got 2 crit damage, and then a status effect accuracy. So I was kind of like, you know what? That's good enough. I liked the defense pierce. I liked the crit damage. I would have loved maybe a crit rate as opposed to the status effect accuracy, but I will say that as a widow, I do want my blinds to land, or my bleeds and my blinds, frankly. And when they don't, it stinks. So the status effect accuracy isn't bad, but it wasn't something that I necessarily wanted to focus on. So, and I had a lot of heads like this one. This isn't bad. I had 2 crit rate, a crit damage, and attack. I was like, I don't want to nano that. Now, a lot of the other heads that I've already used for nano, I had a bunch of attack on. I didn't want to use that because I had ways to get attack. These other ones, this one is just, actually, it's not bad too, but it's got attack on it. Didn't want it. This one, 3 attack. That's kind of sort of hilarious. And whatever I've got lower than this is probably just, yeah, status effect accuracy, 2 of them. That's clearly going to be some fodder there. So the chest was the one that took me the longest and probably the hardest. And I debated even with this. So what happened is, like I mentioned, I re-rolled my chest a million different times. And this is what I ended up getting on it. It's 4 crit damage and 1 guard damage. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And I actually played around with this a little bit. I used it. It was great because my crit damage was crazy, crazy high. But I wasn't necessarily always hitting things. So I started missing bosses in like Dark Zone. And I'm like, because they were dodging. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, so I have to get some accuracy there for that purpose. So I ended up getting, I actually crafted this where I crafted it and I built it up. I got 2 accuracy rate. I got a crit damage and a crit rate. I think no, I think I got the guard damage at some point, but it was either the crit rate or the guard damage that rolled last. And I was kind of like, you know what? Let's just roll with it. Let's roll with it. I was talking with some alliance mates. I think this is the same chest that Captain Dante ended up nanoing as well. And it's not bad. You know, guard damage, because guard damage does, if you can break somebody easier or quicker in Dimension Duel, it definitely helps. It does. It straight up does. So I kept this. I went ahead and nanoed this. I was happy with it. In the other video, you saw how I was kind of jumping back and forth between which one to nano. It sort of matters which stats you need. Again, depending what your roll, that's going to vary a little bit. And then the next thing that after I'm going to nano both of these up. Probably, man, it's a tough call. I'm not sure which one. I might nano the chest to 7 first. I'm not sure yet, to be honest with you. They're both attack, but I need a little bit of all of it. So we'll see. And I'm already defense pierce cap. So I might actually... so that I can get rid of one of my defense pierce cards, I might nano this one to 7 first, and then I can adjust some cards. But next, like I mentioned, I'm gonna go to the feet. But I've got HP and HP recovery on this. I don't like that. Stam recovery too, I like, but the alt gauge recovery, no. And then I've got a feet. I'll build these up. They're just sitting in here. And then in this one, this is actually not too bad. There's a chance I might just nano this. We'll see. But it'll be one of the last ones that I nano. So in my mind, those are the stats you want to focus on as of right now. That's how you sort of want to do it. Now, the thing that I want to mention at the end of this is we're about to get a nano fusion change as far as the combination. If you have not seen the dev note number 5, they're making a big change to nano fusion where it's sort of additive. So instead of taking a 3 nano into a 1 nano and getting 2 nano, it would be like a 5 nano. So it's going to take into account that how many pieces you've actually put in to this. So like if this is 4 6-star pieces, then it's going to add 4 6-star pieces to whatever else I'm going to have. So not knowing that, I think it becomes a little less important to get a perfect roll on a piece. If you get something that's close, 1 accuracy and maybe 3 guard damage or 2 guard damage and 2 crit rates, kind of like, you know what? That's good enough for me for now. Until I get a perfect roll, I'm gonna nano this to at least 3. And then at that point, you know, it's like, okay. And once I get sort of a perfect roll on a piece of gear, I will then take the item that maybe wasn't perfect and put that onto my 6-star, and that perfect roll will now become bigger. And it's like, okay, that's the way I would do it in the future so that you don't stress about it too much. So for right now and up to this point, that's sort of the way to do it. In the future, I'd still focus on those stats, but it becomes a little less critical about hitting it exactly right. So I hope this has been helpful. Again, thanks for stopping by. Check out the Discord link in the description below. If you got any comments, if you think I've said something incorrectly, if you do it a different way you find better, please do comment below. Come to Discord, mention that as well. And just let's talk about it. I like the theory crafting behind this game. A lot of people just trying to get better and sharing things, because at the end of the day, you still got to have the skill to be able to beat somebody across the table from you. And that's what's important. So share the information. Let's get everybody as close to an even playing field as we can and duke it out, right? Hammer down the like button, click notification bell, subscribe. I got to get back to moving. So appreciate you guys stopping by. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.